Wolves, written by Carolyn Otto. In the north, a gray wolf trots across the Alaskan tundra. His slender legs carry him easily. Wolves are travelers made for long distances. The top speed of a running wolf approaches 30 miles, 48 kilometers an hour. At a trot, a wolf may cover over 20 or 30 miles, up to 48 kilometers in a day. But journeys of more than 100 miles, 161 kilometers, in 24 hours have been reported. The gray wolf is not going so far today. Not today. He will stay near the den, the summer home of his pack. During this time of year, there are pups to be watched over, pups to be cared for and fed. Wolves are social animals. A wolf pack is mostly made of a family, though a pack might be just a pair of wolves. It can also number a few dozen. An average wolf weighs somewhere between 80 and 100 pounds, 35 to 45 kilograms, 3 feet, 1 meter tall at the shoulder. At first glance, a wolf looks a lot like a husky dog or a Malamute. Most scientists agree that our dogs are descended from wolves. Take a closer look. This is a close-up of a wolf's paw print. A long time ago, at least 12,000 years, humans began to domesticate wolves. People raised wolf pups, and they kept the tamest ones. Very slowly, over thousands of years, the babies of pups raised by humans changed and grew much tamer, though wolves will always be wild animals. Domesticated wolves gradually become the dogs we know today. When he comes to a creek, the gray wolf wades in to drink. The paw prints he leaves in the mud seem huge. The wolf shakes the water from his fur and then goes on. The Alaskan tundra is beautiful. There are hills and rocks and grasses and small flowering things, but no tall trees. Just under the ground surface, the soil is frozen. Even in summer, the air is chilly. It is very cold here for humans. In the winter, but a wolf can turn around and around to make a bed in the snow. He will protect his nose with his bushy tail and go to sleep in temperatures of 30 degrees to 40 degrees below zero. Wolves come in many colors: white, gray, black, tawny, golden, red. In the cold months, the wolves blend in with the winter landscape. When they hunt, they are like ghosts in the world of white. The wolf stops to sniff at a bush. To one side of the path, it has served as a scent post for some time. He lifts a leg and leaves his mark. The smell tells the pack he has been there, and it will warn strange wolves away. Scientists call this scent marking. In the last hour, the wolf has eaten a number of mice, voles, and lemmings. He chased them, but didn't catch a swift-footed Arctic hare. On his way back to the den, the wolf's ears prick forward. He pounces on a mouse. Take an inside look. The inside of the wolf's den. The pups are happy to see him. They whimper and lick at the big wolf's mouth. In response, he throws up or regurgitates some partly digested meat. In the wild, animals often must bring food home in their bellies. The wolf's mate is the color of coffee. Her eyes are very bright. They touch noses. She is 5 years old. The male is 6. 3 more young wolves from the pack, all pups from seasons before, whining, tails wagging, they greet their father. Wolves howl in a way that is almost like singing. They yip, yap, whimper, whine, and bark. Wolves talk or communicate in other ways too, with scent marking and with the way they move their bodies. A wolf might wiggle and wag in an invitation to play, or he may roll over on his back to show he means no harm. This kind of communication is often called body language. Each wolf has a special place in the pack. The leader is usually a male, and the other wolves in the pack will follow him as they hunt, as they eat, and in play. It is the leader's mate who chooses the site for the den, and the other wolves will stay nearby. For the first 2 or 3 years of their lives, young wolves remain with their pack. Then they may go off to find mates and start families of their own. Once there were wolves all across North America. You are probably living in a place where wolves once roamed. Back then, there were great herds of caribou in the Northlands. To the south, were moose and elk and deer and bison on the plains. Wolves hunted these animals, and so did Native Americans. Though they sometimes hunted wolves and used wolf fur for clothing, many of their stories show wolves as equals, as powerful spirits, as friends, and as teachers. This is a Native American wolf mask. When the European colonists came to North America, they brought different ideas about land and about wolves. They built houses and barns. They built pens to keep their farm animals or livestock in. They killed wolves to keep their animals safe. Over time, the new settlers slowly tamed the land. As cows and horses and sheep replaced bison and deer, as fences began to mark the places where one person owned this and another that, the wilderness was changed forever. It became, at last, the towns and farms and cities we know today. When wolves could no longer hunt native animals, they turned to hunting livestock. Then people hunted wolves. They caught wolves in steel traps. Wolves were shot or they were poisoned. Other animals ate the poison and died too. Foxes, coyotes, badgers, bears, eagles, ravens, and more. This is a close-up of a wolf trap. When wolves were killed to protect livestock, and wolves were also killed for their fur, which is made into warm clothing. Wolf hunters collected bounties. They were paid for each wolf they killed. All across America, wolves were dying out. They disappeared from the east and almost completely from the south. The plains, wolves and western packs vanished. In many parts of the country, wolves were seriously endangered. By the mid-1900s, wolves lived only in Alaska and in the northern woods of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Just when it seemed wolves might be killed off altogether, people's ideas began to change. Scientists studied wolves, and they learned more about keeping the balance of the hunters to the hunted, of predators to prey. Wolves are predators. Predators are hunters and must eat meat to survive. Meat eaters are also called carnivores. The animals they hunt are known as prey. Predators are part of the natural balance, but the wolves in America were almost gone. So laws were passed in the United States to help native wildlife. One of the most important was the Endangered Species Act of 1973. This law made it a crime to trap or kill certain animals, including the wolves in the lower 48. The laws also tried to protect the places where animals live, like the Alaskan tundra, and to maintain the balance of life in areas of wilderness. It took many years, but wolves were finally brought back to a few places like Yellowstone National Park, on the border where Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming meet. Wolves have lived free in Yellowstone since 1995. For the most part, they have done what wildlife experts expected. The wolves have hunted deer and elk and bison and killed the weakest animals. The stronger, healthier animals lived on. It may be too early to tell, but perhaps the balance is being restored there. In the meantime, far away, the great wolf raises his head to howl. It is time for the pack to hunt. When the winter comes, the pups will be almost grown. They will travel with the pack. They'll learn to track caribou and to hunt, and to curl up to keep warm in the snow. They'll howl with the others. They'll learn to sing.